I kind of looked this over earlier.
The fun finger is pointing at you, sweetheart.
Is it really?
That seat's safe.
Sure.
This one. Sure.
Those of you who, of course, have been at the festival and hear the voice of Noir City, Bill Arney. Bill Arney lived in that apartment for almost 14 years.
Wow.
He took Don Herron's Dashiell Hammett walking tour of San Francisco, and Don pointed out that he was positive that this is the building where Hammett lived, and but no one knew exactly the apartment in which he lived, because all of Hammett's correspondence in the good old days just was addressed to Hammett, 891 Post Street, City. And he would get his mail there, so no one knew what the exact apartment was. But the Hammett scholars have read, when you're in the place, you know this is Sam Spade's apartment. The floor plan is exactly the same. It is Spade's apartment.
Wow.
And it's this building on the corner right here at Post and Hyde. The corner apartment on the top floor is Sam Spade's apartment in the Maltese Falcon. And that is where Dashiell Hammett lived when he wrote not only the Maltese Falcon, but Red Harvest and the Dane Curse as well.
God.
The windows are open because Bill Arney is in there right now. Bill had to move a few years ago, and local philanthropist Robert Mailer Anderson, the guy who also is responsible largely for the backing of the SF Jazz Center that just opened, is now the leaseholder on the apartment. I talked Robert into taking it so that it wouldn't go to someone who didn't appreciate its status as a literary landmark, and he has restored the place completely to the condition it was in when Hammett lived there in 1929. All the fixtures, everything. Don't tell anybody this, but all the way down to the lead paint is now it is officially restored, just as it was when Hammett lived there. That was his last address in San Francisco. There are many
Here in Burritt Alley, this is where Miles was shot and then tumbled down the hill. And there's a plaque on the wall over here describing what happened.
No kidding.
This is where Miles Archer was done in by Brigitte O'Shaughnessy.
We think this might be one of the only examples in America of a plaque commemorating a fictional incident. The grocery store and the fabulous Tunnel Top Bar, which I highly recommend, were not there at the time, and the hill sloped right down to Stockton Street because we are right now above the Stockton Street Tunnel. And the recreation in the movie of San Francisco at that time was authentic enough that you can actually see that there is the Stockton Street Tunnel in the backdrops that are projected behind Bogart and Ward Bond. And so this would have been exactly the spot, and there would have been the wooden fence on the side of the hill right over here. And it's really interesting to note that this film, The Sniper, was made 12 years after the Maltese Falcon, but unlike in 1940 when they shot none of the film on location in San Francisco, because of advancements in equipment and things, they were able to bring the whole crew. That's the Paper Doll Club right there on the corner, which is La Bordeaux. They've taken the stairway entrance out, but right there on the... Well, now we gave. I was trying to hide the plot point from them. It was a diversionary tactic.
You heard a shot, you don't know.
There was a shot. You don't really know what happens. But that, and you can see if you look back there where the blue awning is, and then there's a little secondary awning. That's right where the billboard was, where Marie was standing in front of when something happened to her in the clip that you just saw. So Arthur Franz was over here on the rooftop across the street, right up here. You get a great view up here too, in every direction, whichever direction you want to look.
Yeah.
But who's seen the house on Telegraph Hill?
Oh yeah.
That on the corner right there was Speedy's Market, where Valentina Corteza bought her
Mozzarella.
yes, bought her eggplant and her mozzarella. We got the fresh mozzarella for you. Probably don't want to walk down there at the moment, but if you walk this way to the bottom of this hill, there's a dead end that turns to the right. That is Calhoun Terrace. That is featured prominently in The Sniper. That's where Marie Windsor lives in The Sniper. And, Martha France delivers her dry cleaning down there at the bottom of this hill. Did not Barbara Belgittis live?
This was Midge's apartment.
Really?
Now, it's not the same building, it's just the location. That building's been torn down and this is a new building.
Over in the.
The runaway car sequence with Valentina Corteza in House on Telegraph Hill begins here. It's featured on this street, although they cheat like so many films shot in San Francisco. Trust me, if we wanted to give you the Dirty Harry / Bullet tour, we would be driving all over the Bay Area. That bullet chase happens in like 14 different places around the Bay Area. Impossible to track it in one go. And the scene where Dirty Harry is led around San Francisco, phone booth to phone booth, is physically impossible for him to do that on foot. How many people have listened to my audio commentary on the House on Telegraph Hill?
Oh yeah.
It's interesting because the house on Telegraph Hill is set down here. The house did not exist. If you listen to the commentary, you know that the house did not exist. It was actually the location of a very famous restaurant here in San Francisco called Julia's Castle. And they built the facade of the house around that building to give the impression, and they used but it was funny because it was so accurate that the sound studio in which I was recording the audio commentary is right on the other side of this hill down towards the Embarcadero, and there's a scene in the movie where the floor gives way in the carriage house and you see the area down below, and it was kind of startling because I said, that's where I am right now. I was actually sitting right where the camera was aimed through the floor in the hole. I said, oh, that's kind of alarming. None of this foliage is immediate here because obviously here where the shots are fast.
Oh shit. Worth it? That's the same etchings, the elevator.
And one of the residents knows the historical
And this, now you know about the plastic surgery that Humphrey Bogart gets to change his.
So he looks like Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah. To make him look like him.
The other side, I think her apartment.
The end of the lineup, and what is the end of the freeway that was still under construction in 1958 when the lineup was filmed.
Yes, it's come full circle. That was the year I was born. The freeway was not yet complete, and I lived to see the whole thing torn down. After the earthquake in 1989, it was seismically unfit, and so they tore it down and basically led to a renaissance of the waterfront when the freeway came in.
In Born to Kill, Claire Trevor and Lawrence Tierney come on a train from Reno, and then they take a ferry across and arrive here.
In all these movies, everybody's arriving by train in Oakland and then taking a ferry across the bay, arriving in San Francisco by boat. So it was, a lot of movies start that way. And also Thieves Highway, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Also, Barbara Lawrence arrives at the end of the film and is met virtually right here where we are standing by Valentina Corteza, who's going to take her to meet Richard Conte in her crib. And she plans it very well so that it destroys the entire relationship. And somebody was asking about Valentina Corteza, who you saw in the clip doing her shopping. She is Italian, of course, and she only made 4 movies in the United States. 2 of them shot on location in San Francisco, so we should adopt a measure to have her be like Italian patron saint of San Francisco or something. I love Valentina Cortese. Yeah, or it came from beneath the sea, right? Isn't that the Harryhausen serpent comes up and grabs the ferry building and pulls it down? Yes, of course. Never pulls it down. Never pulls it down. Of course not.
You know what I was trying to think of? Woman on Pier 13.
Woman on Pier 13.
I married a communist, aka I married a communist. With Robert Ryan.
Right down there.
It was all right here. What's now the Golden Gateway Center was all the produce district in San Francisco.
Washington is the main street used in the movie.
The one time I met Jack Palance and I asked him about Joan Crawford, he thought long and hard and then said, "I think I'll be a gentleman." But every time they thought she was gone, Noir saved her. You know, Mildred Pierce was her first big comeback, and then I don't know if anyone has seen The Damned Don't Cry.
Oh yeah.
But that is to me, that is the definitive Joan Crawford movie. She basically plays herself in that movie. And it is a very thinly veiled story of her life. If you just substitute Hollywood for the gangsterism, and that is not a big stretch, believe me, it's basically her story. And then he's building. In the course of this trip today, we have passed so many old San Francisco movie theaters that have been closed. It's kind of unbelievable. The Alexandria up here on the right was a big, gorgeous first-run movie house out here in the avenues. I remember seeing My Fair Lady out here and all kinds of stuff when I was a kid. Right here, you can see YMCA 368. That was a gorgeous movie theater. And on the way out Geary, the Institute on Aging was the home of the Coronet Theater, which was the big first-run house in San. That's where Star Wars premiered there, and I saw.
Funny girl.
I saw the first show of Chinatown in San Francisco in that theater. That kind of helped change my life, and yeah, pretty amazing. They're all gone. They're all gone now. There's so few left. The Bridge just closed out on Geary. That one closed. Directly to your left, the now defunct Bridge Theater.
Were you there for the last show?
1939.
Tragic.
Years after the Golden Gate Bridge.
Named after the
Right, that's how it got its name.
Yeah, the Bridge. That the Castro Theater is still owned by the family that built it.
Wow.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Opened in 1922, owned by the Nasser family, and the Nasser family still owns it to this day. Pretty amazing. It's in recent years it has been through some rough periods of speculation about it being closed, being turned into a performing arts center, all kinds of different stuff. But in the end, thanks in large measure to the fact that so many other theaters have closed and driven every film event, major film event in San Francisco to the Castro, they have managed to see the value of keeping it as a single screen.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.